Hey everybody, this is Brian here with Automation Invasion. Before we get started, I wanted to thank you for joining me for the chemical tracking overview webinar. And quick introduction of myself. Again, my name is Brian, and I started working with Rob in Automation Invasion this year. Prior to that, I worked for Service Autopilot for a little over 10 years, about 10 and a half years total. Started at the beginning. My job was a trainer. So I was hired on. If you ever talked or spoken to Scott Howard over there, I was hired to help him and help him out with training. Became a project manager, helping onboarding our larger customers and any franchises as well, getting them up and running. So I handled everything from, importing to helping people learn the system and the software. Developed a lot of the training materials over there. So I have quite a bit of experience working with Service Autopilot. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. So today we're going to cover kind of overview of chemical tracking. It is one of the more complex tools that Service Autopilot offers. It's not something that everybody would use, but those that would use it, it is very important. So some of the things that you would use in our chemical tracking for would be kind of, every state has their own EPA requirements and their own, state and local things that they have to have as far as tracking the chemicals. I do know that every state requires the EPA number, the product name, excuse me, the EPA number for that product, as well as the wind speed and wind direction. So all of those required Service Autopilot. In our chemical tracking, we have that. We also have the ability to set up cost tracking with that as well. And I'm kind of go over how to set that up today. Kind of just, again, this is going to be a high level overview. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick. And share. So you should see a test account that I use from time to time for training and videos and things like that. And apologize, let me hide this panel. There we go. All right, so again, this is a high-level overview of chemical tracking. The first thing we need to do is set up our products. So what we're going to do is we are going to go to settings, and then we're going to search for products. If you are just starting out setting up chemical tracking, there is going to be a chemical tracking wizard that you can go through. It's going to help you set up the start of your, setting your products, setting up your services, any documents, things like that that you're going to wind up sending to your customers, things like that. Once you have that set up, the chemical tracking wizard isn't available anymore. So unfortunately, for this training, it's going to be, I can't show you how to do that because I set up chemical tracking a long time ago with this account. With that being said, I am going to show you what it would look like when you set up a product. So in settings, I'm using the search bar at the top. Go ahead, typing in for search for products. And this product would be listed here. If you don't have any chemical products, then this will be an option, but you just won't see anything here. So I'm going to click on the products, just kind of show you where to go from there. And so I'm going to go ahead and click on a add non-inventory product. And then what I'm going to do is start typing out anything in the bold fields. All right. So I'm going to go back and show you here in just a little bit that you can actually import these, but you still have to set up the chemical side of it, if you will. So I'm just going to call this a chemical product used in training because I can't make up stuff on the fly. All right. The tax code is not necessary. You have to select either tax or non-tax. The only way that the tax would apply is if in your state you can charge tax on products. Because I know some states, they don't tax services, but they do tax products. But the only way to do that would be to add the product to the invoice itself. Okay. So most of the time I see in my experience, people use non-tax. And then the invoice description is just that. If you're going to apply it to the invoice, then the invoice description is what they would see. So I'm just going to go ahead and type in something generic there, right? So part number, don't worry about. The default rate, this would only apply if you are indeed going to apply it to an invoice. Okay, so most of the time people leave it 0. You can, again, you apply it, and then always remember our products in Service Autopilot are going to be on a per unit basis. So it would be the price per unit. So whatever that unit is, that unit could be anywhere from, like an ounce to a gallon to whatever. Or you can charge by how much application you put down. If it's 1,000 square feet, an acre, whatever it is. Again, remember the default rate only applies when you're actually applying this product to an invoice. The default budgeted cost is going to be just that. It's going to be what the cost would be if you're going to track it normally. Because this is going to be a chemical, we're going to actually set that up somewhere else. The default budget hours, don't worry about it either. So what we're going to do is going to click on Track Chemicals. You'll notice it applies the product mix and the instructions up here. Okay. So again, continuing on, bold fields. Let's go ahead and type in whatever. Let's do maintenance products. I don't know. And then my cost of goods. So we're going to do material costs. They're bold fields. The system won't allow you to save them unless you actually put something there. So hopefully you'll know what that is. All right. I'm going to jump right into the product mix. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail. At least try not to, because it's a habit of mine to do so. This is supposed to be a high-level overview, but old habits die hard. So the scientific name, you could put whatever you're there. Obviously, chemical product user training is not that. The EPA registration number, if you know what that is, usually it's on the product, the box or the bottle or the packaging, whatever, you type that in there, or you can search for it here. The target is what you're going to be targeting with this product. You can apply here or you can leave it blank. It's up to you. If you do the drop-down list, it'll give you a list of what your targets are. Those are already set up in Service Autopilot. If you don't have that set up, you can also import those as well. And when I go over the importing portion, I'll talk about that as well. If you don't have it there and you haven't imported anything yet, you can click on this plus here and then put in whatever it is that you're going to be targeting, right? So we'll just put in, so we're going to unwanted pests, right? So that could be anybody or anything, not anybody, that would be good. So the application rate is what I want to highlight right here. So the application rate is going to be what you're going to use. Again, create this on the fly. You can import this list or you can go into settings and add it there as well. So in this example, we're going to say we're going to use a backpack sprayer. All right. Now your product cost is where you're actually going to put your cost of your product. All right. And then what we need to do is make this the cost per unit. Right. So let's say this is going to be, I don't know, $2.50 per unit. So that unit could be anything from, an ounce to a pound to a cup to whatever, right? That's what you need to put there. The system will take what your total application rate and multiply that, and that will show up on your job costing report later. So that's pretty important if you're tracking job costing, especially with products in Service Autopilot. So under the application rate, this is how much you're going to apply. Now you have two options here. I'm getting ahead of myself, so I'll come back with the mixed water and mix with products. So this is going to be your actual amount that you're going to apply, right? So let's say I am going to apply one, let's do a fluid ounce per 1 gallon. This custom field here is going to be based off of square. Let's say I'm going to do square feet, gross square feet. That's going to come into play later whenever I go over the dispatch board and how to use that, because there is a planned usage report that the system you can print out if you have that custom field filled in, right? So let's say, for example, I'm going to use 1 fluid ounce of product per 1 gallon applied, and this is going to reference the custom field here, right? You know what? Let me take a step back. I apologize. I had it backwards. It's been a little bit since I've done this. So this is actually going to be the square foot. Let's do cubic square feet, and this is going to be 1,000. So this would be 1 gallon per 1,000 square feet. I apologize for that. I have it right now. So this would be your actual application of your product mixed with water or your straight product. It doesn't matter. So in this instance, I'm going to say that I'm putting 1 gallon down per 1,000 square feet. This is the custom field I'm going to wind up be referencing. And let me find a better one. Let's use turf square feet, right? Now, the mix with water, this is going to be your actual product. This is what I meant to say. 1 fluid ounce per 1 gallon of water. Okay? And then this is 1 gallon of water plus product per 1,000 square feet. So let's say, for example, I'm doing a 5,000 square feet yard. I'm using 5 gallons of mix, and that's going to include 5 ounces of actual product. That's how it will actually work out. Okay. Now, if this is straight product, so let's say this is a granular application, maybe you're using a hand spreader. In that case, you would say you wouldn't do it mixed with water. It's just straight product, right? If you are going to mix multiple products together, that's when you would use this option here. So we would say we're also going to use whatever this is, and we're also going to use another fluid ounce and with 1 gallon of water, right? So let's say with this one, we're going to use 2 fluid ounces. So the system will actually take all of those combined together, and in your chemical tracking report, it's going to list out, okay, this is how much I applied at this property. This is how much product I use. So if it's mixed with multiple products in the same tank or the same backpack spray or whatever it is, then that's where you would wind up setting it up, right? So you could add more products if you wanted to. So if it's not mixed, that's where I was talking about straight product. The system will ignore this. Then this would be your actual product. So if this was a granular product, let's say that it was 1, let's say, I don't know, ounce per 100 square feet. Cubic feet's not right. Square feet's what I want. Square feet, right? So again, that would be more of a granular type of product. So hopefully that was not confusing. Again, I'm going back to my old habits. It's supposed to be high level. I showed you exactly how to do it, but that's okay. All right, so add another application rate, you can add another application using a different product. Right now, let's say that I'm going to use a pump sprayer, right? That's going to be a little bit more. So let's say I do 10 gallons per 1,000 square feet. That's kind of a lot, isn't it? But that's okay. And I'm going to go off square foot here. Again, we're going to use the turf square foot option here. And then I put in that we are using 5 ounces, fluid ounces per 1 gallon. All right, now the system will still do all the math that this is associated with, and then you have the option to use or choose the application method when you're actually applying this product on site. So, all right, that's kind of how to set that up. Again, if you need more specific, you can set up a training with me at another time, and then I'd be happy to jump on a call with you and kind of go over that individually with you in your product. But this is, again, how to set that up. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Save. Now that product is available. The next thing we need to do is set up our services. So I'm going to go back to Settings here, and I'm going to go into Services here, and I'm going to add a service. All right, we're going to call this Sample Chemical Application. Code is SCA. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on this Track Chemicals. That's important. I'm going to come back to that. This is service is, I'm in Texas, so it's taxable. And this is per unit. And I'm just going to copy this, put it in there. And then I have to set up my income account. And this is going to be maintenance services. All right, now, I do want to come back to this product and mixes right here. So once your product is set up, now you need to associate it to the service or services that you would actually be using. So when you're scheduling your jobs, whether it's through a master package or a one-time job or a recurrent job, it doesn't matter how you set it up, you're going to be using that service, and the system needs to know what product is going to be associated with service in order for it to show up on the chemical tracking wizard, on the dispatch board, which I'm going to go over next, and then also in the mobile app as well. All right, so let's go ahead and say we're going to use my chemical product used in training. The start and end date has to do with when you're going to use that product. So if this is a generic product or generic service that you can use multiple products with over different seasons, then let's say, for example, I use a pre-emergent in early spring, but I'm using one generic service. I can do that, and I can use the start date, end date in order to indicate or tell the system when I would use this product. All right, so it wouldn't show up on a chemical tracking wizard no matter when that job would be done if that job isn't completed or dispatched within that start date, right? If you don't have a start date or end date there, then the system will have that product show up all the time, okay? Again, you can add multiple products and mixes here. So if I was going to use this one as an example, okay, but I'm not going to do that for this training purpose. All right, so once that's done, I'm going to click on Save. I have now created my product. Then I can schedule my job for any customer, whether it's package, master package, custom package, one-time recurring jobs. I can schedule it, and then on the dispatch board, the chemical tracking wizard will then, I can set it up that way. Okay, so that takes me into the chemical tracking wizard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the dispatch board. I already have a job dispatched. Using this test account, I have a lot of stuff scheduled, so sometimes it can bog the system down. So I already have this done. In order for you to see the chemical tracking wizard, number one, a service has to be, or excuse me, a job with a chemical service has to be on the dispatch board. If it's just, let's say, for example, mowing or tree trimming or whatever it is that you're doing, if it's there and it's not a chemical service, the chemical tracking wizard would not be an option, right? So if you go over more, and you won't see chemical tracking, if there is at least one job with one service, chemical tracking service, then you'll see this option here. So if I click on this, it opens up this new window. So right now it has the chemical product that I'm using. Now, I didn't schedule a job for my fake chemical. This is something I set up a long time ago. I just want to show you what this looks like as an example. So once you have that in here, if the employee has an applicator license, or if that employee is operating under someone else's umbrella license, you can it will display that here. I'm sorry I didn't show you that. Let me show you that real quick. So under team and employees, I'm going to go ahead and go into my name, and then I'm going to click on edit, and then under applicator license number here is, let's say this is Texas 015, I don't know, bunch of numbers, right? And then I click on save. Now if I go back here, let me refresh this. Now I go into chemical tracking, my applicator license should show up. There it is, right? So it should show up there. The conditions will be the current conditions for where this is. Obviously the temperature and the wind speed and the wind direction. Temperature sometimes is not as important, sometimes it is. If you click on this little umbrella icon, it will take you to weather.com. It will actually show you the where you're located, and so they have the temperature and the wind speed. So it's out of, looks like it's going to be out of the north at 12 miles an hour if I'm reading that correctly. So we'll say that, let's go back here. It is 70 degrees, beautiful outside. And I'm stuck in here doing webinars. That's okay. 12 miles an hour, and this was out of the northwest. Okay. Now, on the mobile app, the guys, when they're actually applying this, can go in and change this. This just kind of gets it started. So obviously, if I was doing this at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's probably going to be closer to 80, which I think is close to the high what we're supposed to have today. The wind speed and wind direction could change by then, so it's important for them to go ahead and do that, right? Here is going to be my product, my solution amount. Let's say I'm going to use 8 gallons of this property. If I have this set up properly, then the solution amount should already apply if the turf square foot custom field is actually filled in, right? That takes me to my usage report here. This usage report is a report that will show you a list of products and how much product you're going to need. All right, so again, I don't have it all set up properly. I apologize for that, but generally you would see a list here of the chemical name, the concentrate, which is the actual product amount you're going to use, and then the planned chemical usage, which would be your application or your planned application. Remember, in order for you to use this, you have to have the product set up properly, and you have to have the custom field filled in. So let me see if I can go back a little bit and maybe pull in some more examples here. Nope. Let's go back to January 1st. Refresh. Here's one. Okay, good. So here's the resource, the actual chemical name, the concentrate that we're going to be using, and then on these properties, it's going to have the product, actual chemical ounces, and then the actual how much you're going to be putting down chemical wise. right? So here's an example of what a chemical usage report looks like. The data is not very good. This is a test account, a training account we use a lot. So sometimes there's kind of junk data in there, so I apologize. But once you set yours up properly, it will look just right. So now let's go ahead and go back to the dispatch board. I'm not going to change anything here other than what I already have, right? I'm going to go ahead and click on save, and I'm ready to go. On the mobile app, my guys will log in. They'll be able to enter their chemical usage. So if you're using the legacy app, it will show you that they'll be able to go to and log the chemical usage. They can change the wind speed, wind direction. One thing to note is on the mobile app, they will not be able to access through the app the actual weather.com data. They can open up a weather app on their phone or tablet and pull that information in that way. And then they have to manually enter it. So, okay. Once they're done, they go ahead and click complete everything. I'm going to go ahead and mark this complete. They will be able to send out any information, any chemical instructions, things like that. You can also set up, if you have the Pro Plus subscription with Service Autopilot and you have automations enabled, you can actually set up an automation that when this job is completed with this particular service, you can send out a notification that way. In fact, that's a lot easier than having the guys do it manually from the app. Okay. I will say this, that if you do it manually from the app, it's fine. You can do that. You can actually put in what the wind speed, wind direction is manually on there. Just keep in mind that if you're using the legacy app, the emails are going to be in HTML, so it looks like it's garbled mess, but it's really not. The customers won't see that HTML coding because browsers automatically, they show it in the formatted version. So, with that being said, all right. Couple of things I want to cover real quick is the chemical usage report and importing your information, right? So let's go ahead and go to Report Center. And I'm going to go to, when it actually loads, I'm going to go to the go to this third option down, which is, I say it looks like a box with a star on it. Somebody said it looks like a toaster oven or a toaster. So either one, click on the SA reports. And then you can either scroll to it or you can use this search bar and type in chemical tracking or start typing in chemical tracking. And then it will filter to that report. Click on chemical tracking. This is the report that you can print out that will have all this information. So let me go back to the first of the year to get some data in here. That you could print out when the EPA, there's nothing. Let me go back to 2024. There should be something in there. Refresh. There we go. All right, so this is the report that you can actually print out if the EPA comes calling. So it will tell you the date, the client address, chemical name that was used, the EPA number, chemical amount applied. That was the actual amount of chemical. The solution applied amount. So if this was mixed with water, it would have the total amount. Areas treated, the temperature, wind speed, wind direction. Again, using not very good data, and that's okay. pH levels, if pH is applied. The areas treated, application method, your application rate, and then the applicator name, right? and I'm not going to go over it in this particular webinar, but you can actually set up additional forms that your guys can fill out with additional information that isn't automatically recorded by the system. So if your state requires a little bit more specific information, that form can be set up, and the form fields, when filled out, will actually show up on this report as well. Okay. So that's it for the chemical users report. Let me go ahead and show you how to import your information. So I'm going to go over here to the silhouette and then click on import export. And then I'm going to click on import data. And then I'm going to go down here to chemical tracking fields. Now products you can import that way, services the same way, but I'm specifically go over these chemical tracking fields. If you download the template here, let me see, and then you open it up, I'll have to share this separate. Can I show you? It's going to open up Excel. Let me go ahead and share that. Share. All right. You should see the Excel spreadsheet now. On the very bottom, you have targets, areas treated, area units of measure, volume units of measure, and application methods. You can edit this. You can remove what you wouldn't actually use. For example, I don't think I would use the keep root. Get rid of that, for example. Same thing for volume units of measure. Anything that you wouldn't use, you can get rid of, or you can add to it. And those things will be, once you import them, they would be imported into your account, and they would be able to be selected when you're actually setting up your jobs and setting up your products and your services. So in order to import, you simply select, choose your file. I'm going to use this one. And then it says name or worksheet on the bottom. Now, unfortunately, you're going to have to do it one at a time. So let's say I'm going to start with targets. So what I would do is come back here and I'm going to type in targets. It has to be exactly the way it is in that tab at the bottom, right? Now this one, since this is target, I'm going to choose targets, and I click on next, which will take me to the importer. And it's going to parse out everything for me. Don't worry about item ID. It's not necessary. The name is. So I select what I want to import and click on the import, and it will actually import that. I'm not going to do it again because if I do it again, it's going to duplicate everything. So, and that's it for the chemical tracking overview webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in chat. I have recorded this, so this will be available later as well. And like I said, if you want to set up a training with me to go over your specific account, we can do that. You can email me at brian@automationinvasion.com. I'll send you a link to schedule that training. So, all right, I want to thank you for your time, and I'll leave it open for a couple more minutes to see if any questions come in. Nothing has yet, so. All right, no questions have come in, so I'm gonna go ahead and shut down the webinar. Again, thanks for attending today, and I look forward to maybe speaking with you in another training session. Thanks. Have a great day.